Kia ora and welcome to this episode of The Amateur Austenite. I'm Frances Duncan, author, Austenite life coach. With me is Rachel Pilbar, book buyer, Austenite, and all-round nerd.
Hi!
Today we're discussing chapter 34 of Emma by Jane Austen. In chapter 34, Mrs. Elton sucks.
I feel like you could just start every chapter she's in with that though, right?
Emma realises she has to throw a party for Mrs. Elton because that's what everybody's doing, and Emma is not going to be the last person to do that. There's this whole thing where Mr. John Knightley is coming and dropping off his kids. Mr. Woodhouse is panicking because there might be too many people at dinner. But Mr. Weston is going to be in town. He won't be there for dinner, but he'll come in the evening so they can swap that person out, so it'll be fine. There's not going to be too many people. I shouldn't mock Mr. Woodhouse because actually there's like 8-9 people for dinner, and that seems like a hell of a lot.
5 people? That's a lot, man.
I grew up in a family of 8.
Ew! I'm sorry, that's horrific.
Yeah, no, so I'm used to that number, although I can't do it now.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, too many people at dinner.
Too many people at dinner. There's a whole thing about the post office. Jane obviously goes to the post office to get a letter from Frank in the rain, but she's very happy, and then at the end of the chapter, Mr. Weston turns up and is like, I've got a message from Frank, and he's coming, and you're like, oh, of course. Jane went to the post office and got a letter from Frank, and that's why she's happy. Emma even recognises that she's happy, so she must have got a letter. And then Mr. Weston turns up and says that Frank's coming. So that must have been what
Jane's happy.
Jane's letter said.
I'm coming back, my love.
I've been reading this book for like 30 years.
I have found recently that there's a whole lot of things that I've just missed.
There's so much depth, and I love that we're doing this chapter by chapter because it means we're actually paying attention to all the little nuances. Everyone in Highbury is making dinner parties and evening parties for the Eltons. And Mrs. Elton thinks it's because she's special. I see what a life I am to lead among you. Every day they've got something on. We shall be absolutely dissipated.
We really seem quite the fashion. And it's true. And you know what? Fashion comes and goes and changes. Fashion is fleeting. And so are you, Mrs. Elton.
I don't think she realises that this is what normally happens when a bride in particular comes. She thinks it's just for her because she's special. People in Highbury don't know how to do things correctly. There are poor attempts at round cakes. There are no ice at the card parties.
Oh my God.
They are behindhand in the knowledge of the world, but she is going to have a big party herself in return for all of this and do everything correctly. Show off how fantastic she is.
She really wants everyone to be so enamored with her. People, obviously, they're fawning over her now, but how enamored people are with Emma when Emma's not being such a try-hard like Mrs. Elton is.
It's like Mrs. Elton was the popular girl at her last high school, and now she's come to a new high school and expects to be popular again. And people are like, oh, new person.
And then they get to know the new person, and it's just like, ew, this new person kind of sucks. And then the popular girl, who's also still a nice popular girl, everyone's just like, you're way better than she is.
Emma's very careful about she mustn't do less than other people, so they couldn't be expected of odious suspicions or be imagined capable of pitiful resentment.
She could never.
So she's going to have a dinner. Mr. Woodhouse never sits at the top of the table, or he's the bottom of the table, so Mr. Knightley always does that for them. How appropriate, because he's going to move in.
That's true. He's going to be the man of the house. Yeah. Why doesn't Mr. Woodhouse sit at the top of the table? Does it say?
He just doesn't like doing it. Because it's work.
He's the one to be in charge.
No.
Would Emma actually should be sitting at the top of the table, even though she's a woman?
I assume
she's the head of the household. Really.
That she's at one end and Mr. Knightley's at the other end. So it's like they've been playing married couple this entire time. No wonder they end up getting married. They've basically been doing it anyway.
They're already in the level of domesticity.
You see how they manage their siblings and how they manage her father.
And managing the estates. Actually, the only thing they're not doing is fucking. So y'all just need to be sleeping in a bed and procreating together, you know? And then...
all done.
All done. Yeah. You're basically there already, guys.
Emma invites Harriet, but is really pleased that Harriet says no.
She invites her to be polite, but actually is like, that would be hella awkward, please don't come.
Also because she wants to invite Jane, because Mr. Knightley has made her feel bad that she hasn't done enough for Jane. Jane. Mrs. Elton is doing stuff for Jane. Mrs. Elton obviously is going to think that Jane was invited because of their relationship. She's my protege. Of course she's going to come to this dinner.
Emma, she invites Jane out of obligation. Mr. Knightley will always call Emma out on her faults, and she agrees that's a fault that she hasn't been better to Jane, because she should be. Not because she likes Jane, not because she cares about Jane, but just because of her position. It's not just Knightley saying it that makes her do it. It's the thought of Mrs. Elton being better to Jane. Emma can't stand the thought of Mrs. Elton being nicer or better than her. And thus, that is why. Actually gives Jane at least a little bit of what she's due. Like, Jane deserves so much nicer than the way she is treated.
I love the pettiness.
Emma is a petty queen.
Mr. Knightley told her Jane Fairfax receives attention from Mrs. Elton which nobody else paid her. Yeah, it's very shameful. Bad girl. And she's never gonna like me because I've neglected her too long. But I'll try and be better.
But Emma, you don't like her.
Pretty girl who might be prettier than me, but not prettier than me like Harriet. Like prettier than me and more accomplished than me? No.
And even though we want them to be lesbians together, we know Emma would never be happy with Jane. Her ego couldn't handle it.
But you see through the next two chapters the differences between the way Mrs. Elton and Emma treat Jane Fairfax. Emma always refers to her as Miss Fairfax. She would never call her Jane to her face. And when she thinks about the post office, she thinks there's something about Ireland and I don't want to make her uncomfortable, so I'm not going to say anything. Whereas Mrs. Elton calls her fucking Jane, how rude, and is really pushy about the post office thing, like, no, you can't walk to the post office. I'll send someone to do it for you. No, but I want to do it. And Mrs. Elton refusing to listen.
Mrs. Elton does just trample over Jane's wishes, and like she actually just tramples over any boundaries. No. I'm right, you're wrong, shut up.
Emma is a little bit like that, but she does respect some boundaries at least.
Yeah.
She doesn't tell Harriet what to think or feel.
No.
She just influences Harriet and lets Harriet come to her own conclusions from what Emma's told her.
Emma manipulates, but she doesn't take away autonomy. Whereas Mrs. Elton demands and does take away autonomy. Emma would try and persuade her. No, but if Jane insisted, Emma would be like, okay.
You've insisted. I will step back.
Yeah.
It's showing the different levels of class and actual care about people.
It shows a level of elegance that Emma possesses that Mrs. Elton doesn't and never will.
Because Mrs. Elton just thinks that she knows better than anybody than they know themselves. And Emma also thinks that she knows better, but allows people to have their own ideas.
Has Mrs. Elton always been like this? Or is this purely something she started picking up more? Like, I mean, because obviously she was the richest one amongst her friends back home. Did she have this demanding behaviour before she was married? Or has this stemmed now that she's married and moved and thinks she's queen bee of this town?
Oh, like it's gone to her head.
Like it's gone to her head. Yeah, she was probably that rich bitch previously. But now is she like, oh, well, everyone has to listen to me because I'm all this town. I'm the vicar's wife, you know, like.
So 8 persons at dinner is the utmost that Mr. Woodhouse's nerves could bear.
I assume that their dinner table can comfortably sit 8.
Yes.
Is it bigger than that? Could they have had a larger dinner party?
Yes, probably. Because they have these huge dinner tables, right?
It's always confused me. I mean, I know houses, especially in a state like theirs, would be made for it. God, it must be weird when it's just him and Emma. This giant freaking table.
But do we know if they eat at the dining table all the time? Because it's never really said.
It's never said, but I don't know. I feel like Mr. Woodhouse would be like, this is the place for dining. If they have supper in the drawing room.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, what does supper consist of at this time? What would they be eating for supper?
I feel like it's like more cakes and tea and stuff, but now I'm worried that I'm remembering incorrectly and am saying the wrong thing and getting really in my head about stuff.
Anytime I think about, like, they're having supper, my brain just goes, they're eating soup. They're just having soup in their drawing room, and then they go and have other meals.
Because Mr. John Knightley's going to be there, instead of Mr. George Knightley, who's there, Mr. Knightley, Mr. John Knightley will sit at the end of the table because he's actually related to them. And Emma's like, I want it to be my Mr. Knightley.
It's the wrong Knightley.
Because he has a reluctant conversation. He's very grave. Which is quite funny because you kind of think of the other George Knightley like that as well.
Yeah, because he's very stern and stiff upper lip kind of guy. But I guess like compared to his brother,
Yeah.
he's the fun and fancy free one, and John's the stiff one. Their dynamic is probably a lot more similar to Emma and her sister's dynamic, just with the obviously the age switch because Emma's sister is older and John is the younger brother.
The whole deal with their two families is so fascinating. Sisters marrying brothers and switching the ages. But it works so perfectly because then the John Knightleys get Hartfield and the George Knightleys get Donwell Abbey.
Yeah.
So everyone has a home.
Everyone has a home, and that's what's important. In Pride and Prejudice, obviously, that's why they want one of them to marry Mr. Collins, so that one of them can become the lady of their own house.
And then the rest of the family can continue living there instead of be kicked out.
Obviously, there's a lot smaller family. I mean, actually, if they did have other siblings, you know, so they had another 2 sisters or something, when they switch, get married, and Emma goes to Donwell,
They could have one sister each.
They could have one sister each, but also, like, would it be... I mean, I assume that when the John Knightleys took over, they would still house, like, Mr. Woodhouse and the family, you know, like the sisters would stay at Hartfield. They wouldn't move to Donwell as well if they weren't married.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is that Mr. Woodhouse is still at Hartfield. They only moved to Donwell when he dies.
When he dies, of course. Yeah.
But yes, because it's her family home, it's entirely possible that her sisters would stay there. But because both sisters are married, there's the opportunity for any additional siblings to live with either of those sisters potentially, or for the husbands to give them an annuity or something so they can go and live. Emma's really surprised that Mr. John Knightley isn't too bothered that there's a dinner. He's watching Mrs. Elton but doesn't actually want to talk to her. He's just getting enough information so he can talk to Isabella about her.
He just wants to bring the tea back to his wife. He doesn't actually care about anything else. That's a good husband right there.
I know. I saw this fantastic TikTok of a guy came home and he's like, look, I know we're in a fight, but I have tea. And she's like, yep, okay, let's go. She's pregnant. You've seen this one?
Mm-hmm. So good.
And then I think she gets angry because he doesn't know all the details.
It's like, why would you tell me this? Yeah.
I want to know the details. Yeah. But he's happy to talk to Miss Fairfax because he's known her for years. She's quiet and easy to talk to. He doesn't like talking to people. I kind of get Mr. John Knightley. He's like, I don't want to go out in the cold at Christmas. I don't want to talk to people I don't know.
He is so well suited to his wife. Is this what Mrs. Woodhouse was like? Was she similar to John in her, like, because obviously...
No, Mrs. Woodhouse is like Emma. George Knightley says her mother would have been the only one that could control her because they're so similar.
John matches Isabella so well that it's like he is the only person I could see being happy in that relationship. Whereas we've discussed before that Mr. Woodhouse would have been subservient to his wife.
He needed a strong wife.
John is not. John is the dominant partner, I think, in that relationship.
Yeah. Although the 2020 movie kind of flips it. Isabella, when they get out of the carriage, is all grumpy and telling John what to do. He's having a conversation with Jane Fairfax because he ran into her on a walk with the boys when it was just starting to rain, and he's like, I hope you'd get too wet. I had to go to the post office. You wanted your walk, so you went regardless of the rain. Letters aren't really that important. As you get older, you don't care as much. And she's like, well, for me, they're going to be, because I don't expect to live with my nearest and dearests. They're going to be far further away. So I don't think I'm going to come indifferent about letters as I get older. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I said a bad thing. She's like, you're speaking in letters of business, mine of friendship. And he jokes that business letters are better than friendship ones because business ones bring money.
All of Austen's books are very female-led. They're almost all their letters that they're sending are social letters because they don't have business. My only memory of any of the men sending a social letter is Miss Darcy writing to Georgiana, which is, I guess, still an obligation. And I can't think of another instance I can think of in any of the books.
Yeah, because
where it's a man sending a social letter.
Because Mr. Collins' letters are never social. They always have a purpose.
Yeah. Do they send letters of friendship to other friends?
They must do.
You'd think. But do they only send them when they've got, like, business, or is it, like, short missives? Like,
potentially, because it's the same thing, like, guys don't text each other now. Mr. Woodhouse comes in on this conversation about getting wet, and he's very worried about her. Did you change your stockings? Young ladies should take care of themselves. And this line, I want to make a t-shirt. Young ladies are delicate plants. Can you just see that? Young ladies are delicate plants, then like a picture of a fern or something underneath it?
Yes, I can picture that. That's kind of funny to me, though, that he's, like, worried about whether she changed her stockings. So that's a very personal question to ask a young lady. You're much her senior, sir. Please, show some decorum.
But he's just trying to look after her. He's doing his round. He's hilarious. He does a round of all the ladies to make sure they get some attention from him. And then he can just go sit in his chair and ignore everybody or just talk to the people that he wants to. We can learn so much from Mr. Woodhouse.
He really is peak geriatric. Like, he's the peak old person. I'm like, this is who I want to be. I'm still polite. I still get everything done. I still show I care. And then I go and fuck off into the corner and I read my book or whatever so I don't have to talk to anybody else.
The kind-hearted, polite old man might then sit down and feel he had done his duty and made every fair lady welcome and easy. Mrs. Elton muscles in after Mr. Woodhouse has gone to sit down. "My dear Jane, what is this I hear?" She goes to Mrs. Weston and says, "We must exert our authority. We got a team together and tell Jane what to do." She's probably the same age as Jane, acting like she's so much older than her because she's married.
Marriage adds 10 years to your life.
Mrs. Weston is like, "I feel tempted to give you some advice to not run risks. We know that you tend to get sick. Maybe wait when it's not wet you could go."
That's smart advice. I have noticed you have a delicate constitution. You should not go out in the rain if you can help it. Jane obviously was going to go regardless because her boyfriend is messaging her. And that's way more important than living a healthy life.
That's very teenager. Mrs. Elton's basically bullying her. She shall not do such a thing again. We will not allow her. What?
Yeah, it's really cringe.
She's not a child. We'll get one of our men. I forget his name. No. Again, that's showing the lack of class and understanding because
she doesn't know the name of any of her stuff.
It's respectful to know the names of your servants and actually care about them. But because she wasn't presumably raised with servants, she thinks that the way that rich people do it is they're like, oh, they're just like my underlings, I don't really care. Whereas you see Emma and Mr. Woodhouse are very aware of all of their servants. They know all their names. They know what's going on in their lives. You know, Mr. Woodhouse is like, but I don't want to make our coachman go too far with the coach. Emma's like, remember how you got his daughter a job at Randall's? He's going to want to go there all the time. They're very aware of these things, but Mrs. Elton's just like, it's just one of my servants.
You 100% know that when it's cold winter nights, when they leave a dinner party, Mr. Woodhouse is 100% concerned. The only reason he wants to get home quickly, not so that he won't be cold anymore, but so his coachman outside can get in from the cold. We've got to go now before the weather gets worse. Because otherwise my coachman won't be safe driving us home.
I've heard horrific stories. I don't know if they're true. Post coaches that would like buses, basically. That people could get seats kind of on the roof. Sometimes they would freeze to death.
That's horrifying, but also I 100% believe it.
I don't know if it's just one of those like tabloid things.
Sensationalized. It would have been a very rare occurrence. I can't see it would have happened with any regularity. But I guess it would be like the cheapest way to travel for some.
How else are you going to get anywhere?
Yeah, needs must.
Jane says no multiple times, and I cannot by any means consent to such an arrangement. Consent is a very important word.
Mm-hmm.
She is not consenting, and Mrs. Elton is railroading her.
You've really got to admire Jane for like standing up for herself in this moment. Against someone who is, I mean, I guess Mrs. Elton is a friend, but also she is slightly higher in the social hierarchy than Jane at this point, or at least she sees herself as that, and Jane is probably deferring to her. That's a hard place to be, to stand up for yourself against someone who is such a force of nature, who's your friend. And also in a room with all of these other much wealthier than you people as well, to be like, you're talking about me like I'm not here. I don't agree.
And she does it really politely. It's so hard that you can't give an actual no. Mrs. Elton reminds me of Mr. Collins being unable to hear a no. I think I counted one time. Lizzie said no to his proposal 4 or 5 times in that one sitting. Miss Fairfax turns the conversation. She just starts talking to Mr. John Knightley about the post office, and he seems to pick it up and keep it going. isn't it great? We get letters from all over the place. They hardly ever get missent, and people write with bad hands, etc., etc. And then they start talking about handwriting.
Wow, such an interesting topic of discussion. Although actually now I'm thinking about it, I used to practice my handwriting all the time, just for fun.
John's talking about that handwriting is often similar in a family, and I do see similarities between my siblings' handwriting. They're kind of saying it's because they have the same teachers, but that wasn't the case in my family. John Knightley is like, yeah, boys have pretty horrific writing, whatever they can get into, because they don't get a lot of teaching. And I'm like, they go to school. Girls have a governess, but boys go off to school.
Yeah, you'd think they would have better handwriting than girls at this point.
He's like, Isabella and Emma have similar handwriting. George Knightley's like, I think Emma's is better.
He's standing up for his woman.
Emma's is better. It's stronger.
It's more confident, probably. That's a big difference. It's just how confident you are at writing.
And Emma would be more confident. Emma brings up Frank.
Oh, wow, what a surprise.
After a little internal thing like, why am I bringing him up? Oh, I'm so obsessed with him.
Why are you so obsessed with me?
It's like, I don't like Frank's handwriting. No, it's too weak. I have a sample I can show you. Look, when he's writing to a young lady, of course, he puts his best foot forward. Mr. Knightley, interesting. See, these little breadcrumbs that you don't notice until you go into it and you know what happens later. They're going into dinner. Mrs. Elton getting ready to parade into the dining parlour. Must I go first? Oh, I'm so ashamed of always leading the way.
Shut up, bitch. We know you like it.
Exactly. That's the point. It's humble brag. She doesn't seem to realise that this does not mean that she's got higher social standing. It's because she's the bride.
And again, it brings us to the discussion of when does that stop?
When there's another bride? When she's been there 3 months? When she's had one visit to everybody's house and now it's done?
When the novelty's worn off?
I want to know the rules!
Yeah. You're engaged, your wedding's like coming up soon, like the bride-to-be, make it feel special. But then as soon as you get married, you're kicked to the curb. No more. We don't care about you anymore. You've been taken off the market.
I mean, that's basically how it works these days, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Emma and Jane go in together, which is lovely. Arm in arm with an appearance of goodwill, highly becoming to the beauty and grace of each. Emma has been listening to the conversation about the post. She's recognised that Jane wanted to get the mail because she's expecting to hear from someone very dear. She thinks by the glow of complexion and spirits from Jane that Jane definitely got a letter.
And she's obviously assuming that letter's come from Mr. Dixon, because Emma still thinks that Jane is in love with her best friend's husband.
Awkward.
I'm so glad Emma's wrong, though. Can you imagine the book if that was the truth, if that was the reality? Oof. Oh, it would change so much about Jane's character.
It would. But I don't think Jane's the sort of person that would allow a married man to send her letters.
That's true.
If she was in love with him, yeah, she'd do this. She would stay away and she would not communicate with him.
Yeah, I agree. She's got a lot of integrity.
And that is our discussion of chapter 34 of Emma by Jane Austen. I've been Frances Duncan. This has been Rachel Pilwell.
Bye.
Thank you for listening and we wish you happy reading.
Ma!